Hello, I'm C. Stephen Ellis, novelist, and this is my podcast, The Writer's Mind. Here we will discuss all aspects that relate to the craft, business, and creative side of writing. For more information or a transcript of this podcast, please go to my website, www.cstephenellis.com, and that's Stephen with a V. So focus your ears because it's time to step inside the writer's mind. Hello, today the writer's mind is visiting with Julia Drake. Julia Drake is one of the co-founders of Wildbound Literary Promotion Company. It's in Los Angeles. She is the co-founder, I guess, with your husband, Jared Drake. And from their website, Wildbound specializes in custom book companies that use the latest trends in traditional and digital media to build awareness for authors and their works. In addition, they also run Trailer Shelf, which is a place for book trailers and video advertising specific to books. She also wrote a travel book, Los Angeles Tour, Hollywood, Beverly Hills, Santa Monica, Venice Beach, a self-guided pictorial sightseeing tour in 2010. Boy, you're busy.
I have, a lot of interests, just like you.
Well, I got to say that the thing that actually drew me to you was Trailer Shelf. I put my first book trailer up there, and I had no idea that it was just part of this much larger company. So I want to start my questions with Trailer Shelf. I can see that's going to be a problem. Trailer Shelf, and we'll go up to what you guys do with Wildbound. Okay, so with Trailer Shelf in mind, how long has it been around? I mean, first of all, how did you get started? How long has it been around?
Actually, the official launch was just this morning. So it hasn't been around that long. It's been around in the making for a long time, but the official launch was actually this morning. So we have a lot of promotion, a lot of things that are coming up for the website, to kind of get it out there and get the word out. And we're working with different publishers and authors, and but this morning was the official birth of Trailer Shelf.
So when was it conceived, and how long has it been in its pre-existence?
It was conceived 2 years ago when my husband and we spoke at the San Francisco Writers Conference, and one of the speaking engagements or the topics that we like to talk about are book trailers. And book trailers have been around for a while on the literary scene, but the quality is just not very good. So I feel like there's a little bit of a stigma attached to book trailers. And both my husband and we come from a film background. So for us, it really was kind of a challenge to say, how do we bring books to the screen without taking away the reader's imagination? Because that's obviously the problem here, because it's similar to a movie trailer, but with a movie trailer, you're actually going to watch the movie. Versus with a book, you really just want to inspire an emotional connection, kind of get some visuals going in your imagination, but you don't want to take away from the reader's imagination of, actually reading the book. Because as we could all be reading the same book, 100 people in a room, and everyone would see something different in their head. So we don't want to take that away. So that was kind of a fun thing for us to think about, because we really love visual storytelling. And so our company, Wildbound, we specialize in high-end book trailers for our clients, that have been featured in the New York Times, the New York Daily News, BBC, and so on. And so we really thought, let's kind of push the creative, spirit in that, in that arena. And Trailer Shelf is kind of the, place for that. We really want to see what people can do and how they can use video creatively to promote books.
So you also then produce the books as well as let other people put their trailers on your site.
We produce book trailers. Yes, correct. For our clients. Yeah.
And then for people like me who just, make a trailer and then, put it up on your site, is there a quality, some sort of quality that they need to go through to make sure that it's okay, it's good enough, that you think it's something that would be worthy of being on Trailer Shelf?
Yeah, exactly. Because that's something that we really, we feel like we want Trailer Shelf, to be set apart from other websites that do feature book trailers, by going, with very high standards for the videos. So every video that gets submitted goes through a rigorous, review process by my husband and I, and then we have, a couple of other people on our team that are, either filmmakers or that are in the literary industry. So we really, it's really important to us that everything that's on the site is just great and creative, and which is why we accepted your trailer, because it was very creative and it was fun, and you made us want to read your book. I mean, that's the whole point.
Well, thank you.
A video promotion.
So I guess my follow-up then is, who do you hope this audience is going to be, and how are you going to draw them into your website?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I would say I think the target audience, is the modern reader. Because, as video engagement, drives everything online now. So, we live in a very visual society. And so it's pretty much, anyone who's, watches things on their mobile phone, anyone who, pretty much, any consumer. I mean, if you think about it, I would probably say that the target audience is probably from about, teenage, like 15 to, 40 probably. I think if you get a little bit older, then, it just depends, on how, how savvy people are, but I definitely feel like it's a visual audience. And then there's obviously the moviegoer audience too. I mean, what we're hoping to do too is get people who are probably not readers excited about a book, about reading, by actually watching some of these videos. So it's a pretty mainstream audience that we're targeting.
So do you hope that in the future you'll have some sort of link from areas where there are readers, like Goodreads or BookBub will have some kind of link, or maybe even the reader forums in Reddit rather, something like that?
Correct. That's what we're working on right now. So we're working with various publishers, like, the big five, right, as well as independent publishers and authors. And also, the literary sites like Goodreads, social literary sites, as well as, the trending sites like, LitHub and Daily Beast and BuzzFeed, to work with us to make sure that we spread the word about the site.
Okay. And now, when I went on the site, I noticed that there was an option for a sponsored listing. So this is where we would pay an additional fee, and what would happen? There's different options. One is obviously that you get prime placement on the homepage somewhere, in either the popular trailers section or staff picks, or, your book would be the cover image for a certain genre. So, if you wrote a mystery, then, your book would be the cover image for mystery. And then we also are developing a mailing list, a newsletter. So there's also placement in the newsletter. Okay. Well, that sounds excellent. What about content control? Are there rules that need to be adhered to? For example, no swear words, no nudity, that sort of thing?
I think would probably be on a case by case basis. I mean, I'm sure, there's certain things that, like, just graphic content, or, where we would have to just kind of see, is it, because it's supposed to be a mainstream site. So we feel like, we really want to leave it up to our judgment, and it's a team of four that decides. And so we feel like we don't want to put rigorous standards on it, but, I think it's more of a common sense sort of decision. Okay.
And, for people who are producing trailers, or especially for the people who produce their own trailers, is there, do you think that there's an appropriate length rather, for the size of a trailer? I mean, not 2 minutes, a minute, 30 seconds. What do you think?
The shorter, the better, I would say. I would say the best trailers are probably between a minute to a minute and a half.
Okay. And Do you have any recommendations for people who are, the do-it-yourselfers like myself who go out and try and produce their own trailers?
There is on our website, there's actually a link where you can download our presentation that we do. It's about usually a 3-hour presentation that we do as a speaking engagement. And it goes through everything from, story development to pre-production to production to post-production to distribution, promotion, all of that. So I'd be happy to send you the link to download.
Okay. And then how do you think book trailers help? Do you really think they help move sales?
Yes, I think they help in several ways. I think one, particularly for independently published authors or self-published authors, they really help build your credibility because, I head up the media department at Wildbound, and I would definitely say that a lot of media contacts, they're so overwhelmed with all the books that, get sent to them for review that obviously, they will, most of the time they will pass on a self-published book. They won't even really look at it. But, if I can hook them with a short trailer and I can say take a look at this and it looks professionally produced, it looks enticing, then they might take a look at the book. So it opens doors. I also feel like there's all kinds of ways, and you can use it on social media. You can use it, you can put it on your website. If you do events, you can screen it at your events. It's always a great way to break the ice. When you have a bunch of people in the room and, you kind of want to get conversation going, to just start off with a short trailer. It really helps discussion. So there's just a lot of ways that you can use your trailer.
Well, that's really an excellent idea. I'll have to remember that next time. Yeah. I like that. So, I guess, so if somebody is actually going to pay for you guys to come up with the trailer, how does that creative process work in terms of going back and forth, in terms of what they want, in terms of what you think is actually better and more marketable?
Yeah, I would say we really like to be involved in the very beginning in terms of the script development and brainstorming concepts, because that's really the golden core that everything springs from, and what we see a lot is like people have some sort of, they go with the first idea they have, and then they don't really think about, the context and in terms of, how much this is going to take to produce, and they don't write a script. They just kind of go and start shooting stuff, and it just never works. So we really like to be there at the very beginning. I mean, you've been in, you've been in the film industry. It's really, there's just a lot of half-baked stuff. And so we really come in the beginning. We make sure that we come up with a great concept, that falls in line with the budget that the author, has. And then we write the script and, oversee everything.
And so, yeah. What would the turnaround time be for something like that?
It depends on how busy we are, but we usually, we try to, I would say about a month to a month and a half.
Okay. So then certainly, especially the DUIers need to, and the independent authors, they need to plan ahead for this.
Yes.
They really need to keep it in the back of their mind when they're thinking about what their promotion is or what their promotional strategy is going to be.
Exactly. Yeah. Because what we mostly do with the clients that we work with, that we produce book trailers for, we usually release the trailer about a month or so before publication date to really, get buzz going and really kind of, arc toward the publication date and bring awareness to the release.
And I didn't notice this, but is there a place for people to review the trailers to, basically say, hey, I love this trailer, or, oh my God, I was so bored by this trailer. Is that going to be on the website at all?
Right now, we don't have user interaction, but at some point we do want it to become more of a social community. But for now, it's more of a, we're the staff where we kind of decide, what we want to feature and so it's more in the editorial process, but at some point we will, we will make it more social.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So as I said before, the trailers side is just sort of the tip of a much larger iceberg. And that iceberg is called Wildbound. And so I don't know. So, I mean, first of all, how do you go? I think your bio said that you were from Germany and you went to UCLA Film School. And how do you go from that to saying, let's start a book PR business?
Yeah, I know. It's kind of funny. I met my husband, Jared, at UCLA Film School. And, we just love storytelling. And so when we graduated from film school, we produced our first feature with Zach Galifianakis. It was a, dark comedy. And, we really kind of got our hands wet in the movie business. But, as you probably know, I mean, it's just really hard to get anything going, and it's just, we're kind of, movers and shakers, and we really just hate to keep waiting for things to happen. And so, so we kind of started working with writers that we knew that were, frustrated, screenwriters, most of them were screenwriters that were frustrated, with this whole process, and said, I'm starting to write a book because, with a book, you're the god of the world. You finish the book, it's a finished product, and you can get it out there and you can get, readers to see it. And so, so we started working with these writers, and we really enjoyed it. We really enjoyed the creative process. We really enjoyed that we didn't need all these people to make something happen. And so at some point, one of the writers we worked with just said, wait, so you don't have your own business? You don't have your own PR business? And we were like, oh, I guess maybe we should. And so,
Yeah.
that's kind of how it happened, like really, really organically. And we just, we haven't looked back since. So it's been a great ride.
I'm going to make the assumption that you guys are both voracious readers.
We are. We're voracious readers, voracious moviegoers. We really like stories. We really like stories in any form that they come. We listen to audiobooks a ton too. We really enjoy that as well. So, yeah.
Okay. So, who can benefit from your company? Who are the people that I noticed on the website, actually, when I started looking at the books, I noticed most of them are from traditional publishing. I really didn't see anybody who would be an independent publisher. Is that strictly your model, or do you expand it and allow for a wider clientele?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. We have I would say about 70% of our clients are traditionally published, and 30% are self-published or with a hybrid publisher. And for us, it's just, about whether we think that we can do something with the book, whether we enjoy it, and then also, whether we feel like it's viable in the marketplace. And I feel like with self-published authors, we have some great self-published authors that really, because as you know, too, as a self-published author, you really have to be your own publisher. You really have to, abide by the same, standards of quality than the big five, because that's how it is. Like, no one's going to give you a break. No reader is going to give you a break saying, oh, it's a self-published book. So, it doesn't matter that there are grammatical errors and that the website, is not up to snuff and, and all of that stuff. Like, no, it has to be just like a traditionally published book. And, and unfortunately, very few self-published authors do that. They for some reason, it feels like the ease of self-publishing almost invites, being a little lazy, I guess, and so we really love when self-published authors come to us and they're just on it, because then it's like, okay, we know we can really work with this person, and then we can do great things, so I think that's probably why we, work with a little bit more traditionally published authors, because it's just kind of hard to find that person who really takes it seriously.
Well, there's probably the financial side of things too, to get a book done and do it right with a good cover, with an editor, with a proofreader, all of that. That's going to cost some money. And some people are, they're not willing to invest. They're too scared of their own ability to get the word out, I think. And to spend money on top of that makes it just seem, I don't know, just kind of not real, kind of not legitimate. Or illegitimate, I suppose, is the word I'm looking for.
Right.
Well, I'm sure that's part of it anyways. When you guys promote books, are you promoting ebooks? Are you promoting digital world? Are you promoting paperbacks? Are you promoting hardbacks?
Everything. I mean, I definitely feel like, if you want to reach the widest audience, you have to have a physical copy and an e-copy, and ideally an audiobook as well, because as you know, too, the audiobook industry is just going through the roof. So, there's another, whole section of your audience that you're not reaching if you don't have an audiobook. Yeah.
Do you help shepherd people through the production of an audiobook at all?
We have done it like a couple of times. It's not something that we do a lot, but yes, we certainly do. We help them, get set up with the right narrator and, the right service. And yeah, so we'll do that, of course. Yeah.
And so what do you think about a company like AIX?
Yeah, I think it's amazing. Yeah. I mean, I think, and there are many out there like that are, kind of open platforms and, and I think it's great. Yeah. I really would encourage, any author, to produce an audiobook. I think there's, a lot of great things you can do with it.
Do you have an opinion of people who go and pay for an actor versus doing it themselves?
Well, I would say, it always helps. You see it in movies too. I mean, animated movies, there's something, it's a trend, with using actors' voices to narrate, movies or audiobooks. And it sure helps to have someone that is a known quantity, I think. I think it might be a little bit more important if you are, a self-published author, or if it's a book that's not a genre book. We always see that if you have a genre book like, thriller, mystery, romance, it's a little bit easier because there's just the readers for those genres. They're just very, I wouldn't say, I mean, they just read voraciously. And so I think it's a little bit, it's a little bit easier to reach your audience with that. But if you have like something that's like literary fiction or, kind of cross genre or something, it's definitely good to have someone who's notable to open some doors.
Okay. So by the way, I noticed when I went to your website that you had this $10 giveaway. What's that about? What do you get for $10? Or what is the $10 giveaway?
Oh, it's we have a newsletter. It's called the Wildbound Breeze. That comes out every week, and it's it talks about what's going on in the book industry. It has helpful tips for authors, and it always has a writing contest, at the end, or some sort of where you have to write a caption for an image, or something fun for writers to get creative. And then we always select a winner, and the winner gets $10.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What is who produces that? Is that you? Are you the one who's responsible for content on that?
It's well, we always have an editorial meeting in terms of what we want in the newsletter, but then one of our team members is handling it.
Okay, and I'm just kind of curious because it just seems you've got so much going on. How do you schedule your time? Do you use any tips or any tricks that just to make sure you get through the day and everything gets covered?
I think it helps to get up at 5:30 every morning. I would say that, and I also think that I think on the one hand you have to be really disciplined. As too, I feel like it's really easy to to I don't want to say procrastinate, but it's like the sort of thing where you have your list and and instead of doing the list, you kind of go you go with the thing that you kind of want to or you save the stuff that's the hardest for last. Like, I always just feel like, okay, first thing in the morning, I'm going to plow through the stuff that I really don't want to do. And then for some reason, the rest of the day just kind of, seems much easier. So I do that. And I think on the other hand, though, too, is, both my husband and I, we are perfectionists, but, I feel like you just always have to do the best you can within the circumstances, And sometimes it's just, you're just human and you're just going to have to say, okay, fine, this is good enough. It's good enough, So I think that's kind of a good, attitude to have.
I think that's a great message for writers. It's good enough finally, because, some writers will just, okay, I'm on draft number 25 now.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And I think you also mentioned something great, which is true, is I think a lot of writers, they're afraid that they are not good enough. And so it's almost like they kind of undermine themselves then by saying, oh, I'm just going to kind of put my stuff out there and, it's not that good anyway. So who cares? You know what I mean? Like they kind of self-sabotage, so I feel like, you have to work really hard and do your best, but then you put it out there and, and then it's kind of anybody's game. Yeah. You just have to, I feel like it's a matter of self-respect. You just have to say, I did my best. I put it out there. I'm proud of it. I don't care what anyone else says, like, I think you really just have to, be proud of your work and do your best. And if you do your best, then you should know inside that, I did my best. And if some people don't like it, there's nothing I can do about it.
So in terms of promotion, what do you do? Where will people, if, I sign up with you guys and you approve of my book, et cetera, and it's professional enough, which is very, very important, obviously.
Yeah.
What happens? Where will I start to go and say, hey, that's my book? Or, hey, especially if I'm an independent and I'm not somebody who can necessarily be in bookstores or even go to bookstores and do readings or anything like that.
Yeah. So all our campaigns are completely tailored to every client. And so, with some traditionally published authors, we do full campaigns that involve, social media and, a media outreach that includes, print magazines and newspapers and, and online and radio and TV and, the whole gamut. And, and we build their website and, and we produce a book trailer. And I mean, there's a lot that you can do. But so it just depends for every client. I would say for self-published authors, the first thing that we start with is to make sure that, to work with branding, because I feel like that's something really important. You really need to know who you are as an author, and what your brand is, how you kind of want to communicate with your audience. And so that starts with a professional website, that starts with, social media channels. We always, all of our clients are at least on Facebook and Twitter. That's just kind of a must, And then it's about, what's the content that you're putting out that will engage your target audience. And, and then we really start building their audience. So we don't even do any media outreach or anything else until we have a really solid platform going. Because, as a self-published author, you really, you have to establish your credibility with media and with your readers. And so, social media is a great way to do that, to make connections and, to put yourself out there and, and to really work on your public image. And once you have that, then, then we do media outreach. And I would say with self-published authors, we really try to, it's really hard with a self-published book to get into the regular review sections of big newspapers like the Washington Post, New York Times, and so on, or magazines and so on. But, they always have other sections where they do profiles or they do interviews or they just write interesting stories. So we always lead with the personality for self-published clients, because then we can say, okay, maybe we can pitch them an interview or a story on this author, and the book will be plugged in that story. It won't be in the, review section, but, we still have, a story in whatever 17 magazine or the New York Times, or so it's kind of a backdoor approach in a way to get book review coverage, but it works. So that's kind of the approach for self-published authors.
Well, a lot of the general thinking out there is that the more books you write, the better off you're going to be, and you can even start to bundle your books, especially if you're, keeping to a series. Yeah. Do you think that's true as well?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we have a lot of clients that have written they're like on their fourth or fifth book and in a series, and it's just amazing. Like it just keeps giving, because you keep building your audience, and the more books you have out there, the more chances to be discovered by your target reader you have. And then for every book, you can always go back to the audience you already have that keeps growing and growing. So yeah, absolutely. I think, if you can, depending on what genre you're writing in, if you can make it a series, yes, definitely. By all means, go for it.
Would you have any advice for that author that just starts with that first book? He's got no reviews. He or she have got no reviews. They've got the one book out. They've got so many Facebook friends. I mean, what do they do to try and get some traction on it?
I would definitely, with the first book, like if it's going to be a series, I would definitely announce that. And so you kind of create some sort of anticipation with the reader, right? And then in the meantime, as you're writing the second book and the first book is already out, engage your audience with, excerpts or outtakes, from the book, or kind of let them into your writing process of saying, oh, right now I'm writing this scene with this character. And because, you already have that audience that knows the first book, so they're invested in the first book. So, you kind of start stringing them along and keeping them engaged in kind of what's happening in the development, of the book. And sometimes, we have some authors that really use their audience, and they have come up with amazing ideas for the second book, through social media, through feedback, through social media. And, so you're really writing to your reader, which is awesome.
Now, it seems to me that the direction that you guys are going is, you're helping, shape and helping promote in a world where traditional publishing no longer, you're kind of filling that gap that traditional publishing doesn't do anymore.
Right.
And it's a very necessary gap that needs to be filled. But really, if you start working with independents, it seems to me that you could become your own imprint. Is that something you guys have thought about?
We have, yeah. It's definitely something that, we want to look into down the line, just because, we've now worked with a lot of self-published authors where we've been there from the very beginning. So we've taken them through the actual steps of, getting their book ready for, to be uploaded, and kind of just making sure that, everything aligns, and so the whole book production process, actually, before we even go into the promotion. And we really enjoy it. We really do. So I think at some point in the future we will. Yeah.
Okay, well, we're almost out of time. So let's see. Is there anything that you want to discuss that I haven't brought up?
I think, we already talked about it a little bit, in terms of, self-publishing. And, I really feel like we're always impressed by writers, and the writers that we see succeed are the people, who really go out on a limb, who really say, look, I'm passionate about this, I'm taking this seriously, and, who really go for it, because you have to make an investment, it's not the kind of thing where you can just kind of dip your toe, in it and just see what happens. You really have to say, I'm going to go for it. And, and those are the people that we have seen succeed. So, I really would say trust yourself, and always remember, I think that's one thing too, because it's a tough process going through it. And I think it's always good to remember, like, why you really feel like you had to write this book, and what was really at the core of this whole thing, because it's so easy to kind of lose sight of it. And, there you are in the middle of promotion and everything just feels like a chore. And so I think always kind of going back to what was that spark, I think that really helps.
Okay. Well, I think we could sum that up, and you need to believe in yourself. You need to believe in what you're doing.
Yep.
How do people get in touch with you?
The best way to get in touch with us is to go to our website, and on the contact page, if you're interested in potentially working with us, there is a prospective client questionnaire that just kind of helps us, get some idea of who you are and what your goals are and what your needs are, and fill that out and then send it to us at the email given on the contact page, and we'll be in touch.
Okay. Thank you very much. You've been very, very good and very helpful. And the Writer's Mind, and of course me, appreciate it. Thank you again.
Absolutely. My pleasure.